Hello and welcome to What's Next. It's the Indy NXT Road Series, and we'll be taking on Imola, the Autodromo Internazionale di Enzo Dino Ferrari, I believe is the ordering on that one. Could get the names in backwards order, but nonetheless, we're in the Mediterranean, taking on a iconic track of Formula One fame. Of course, the site of the unfortunate passing of Ayrton Senna in, I believe, 1994. You see the memorial in the footage we've got rolling on the camera here. But we're here ready to take IL-15s across the ocean here, ready for another international round of Indy NXT Road Series competition. Sophie, what are we in for tonight?
As you mentioned, Jacob, Imola is one of the iconic Formula One circuits. Obviously, it's the site of that tragic weekend in 1994. We lost Senna, we also lost Ratzenberger, and nearly lost Barrichello. But it's a track with iconic corners. You have the Ravazzas at the end of the lap. You have the fearsome Tamburello. You have the Variante de Alta, as well as Acqua Minerale. A bunch of iconic corners, great passing opportunities. I expect we're in for a great race, Jacob.
Yeah, we've got ourselves quite the roster tonight. Bit of a shakeup for us because we do not have the presence of Jarrett Corey here this week, but we do have the other winner so far this season in Andre Castro, who's taken to the track once more. The winner of the opening round at Road America will take to the circuit once more here in Imola, carrying the highest iRating in the field, 6,380, and a pro license for his appearance, I believe, in the F4 Esports Tour. He'll be looking to make another statement here, surely, in that iconic-looking Guinness livery. And he's going to be ready to take on 15 other cars as we've got ourselves a 3,480 strength of field here tonight. Not too bad for late in the season as it stands.
Correct, Jacob. We have a bunch of regulars in the field, although we are missing the GOAT, Jarrett Corey. Obviously, besides Castro, we also have Frisky Frankie, Frank DeWin, Logan Edwards, Indy Kirkenbauer, and Ty Keela, among others. So, definitely a stacked field tonight, Jacob.
Yeah, we've got Hamilton, Barrero, Ruiz, Jarrett's teammate Logan Edwards is in here. You've got, Indy Kirchenbauer. I believe Isabel Matthews is a kind of a up there on the totem pole driver as well. So, I see Edson Toole back once again, Ellis Spice. So we've got people making regular weekly appearances here that are ready to take the track once more. So we're kind of riding from the outset with Andre Castro for his first of 2 qualifying laps here around Imola. And we'll actually get on board with him, kind of get an idea of what these drivers are having to face around this very, very quick and undulating track here in Italy.
Yeah, there's 2 things to keep in mind here, Jacob. As many people are aware, there is some pretty, some off tracks that can catch you out, particularly at Villeneuve, at Acqua Minerale, and then you also have the sausage curbs, that too, where if you can run wide, or to cut that corner too much, you can really upset the car and damage, not only damage it, but upset the ground effect that's holding the car to the ground. So when you're driving this track, it requires a lot of commitment and a lot of precision, much like the track we just came from for the Indy Open broadcast at Mid-Ohio.
Yeah, it's a very tight groove around both courses, both the one we saw earlier tonight and this one here. Big thing we pointed out in the track guide this week was those sausage curbs and kind of how you have to hook the curbs, accounting for those being around, right? You want to kind of position the car to where it starts to taper off the curb before you hit any of those sausages to not really cause the car to bounce or bobble any more than it absolutely has to as you bounce it off and on those curbs all around this track. As we see Andre Castro, provisional pole, 131.191. And we'll see if he can improve on that here. We were suspecting pole times might be in the high 130s. If anybody can muster it, it would be Andre Castro. We'll see as this session progresses as we ride on board once more. For lap number 2 of Andre's, he's going to get a good bit of this exit curb heading down towards the hairpin.
Yes, as he is taking a nice tight line through Tosa there, up through the throttle into the Piratella. That's another one of those corners that can get you an easy off track, Jacob.
Yeah, seemingly just about everywhere on this track is an opportunity for you to exit the confines of the course. We'll see Andre navigate towards Aqua Minerale, this kind of right hill uphill right-hander, work his way down towards the final of the chicanes on this lap. We'll see if he's able to, oh, bit of a bobble there on the brakes.
Yeah, big bobble, big bobble. That's definitely an off track there, Jacob. With how far he came off on exit, but he really clattered those curbs, looking for every little bit of time. He's currently P2, so if that wasn't off track, I mean, I don't think he'll improve with that, but currently sitting in first is Hamilton Barrera Ruiz with a 1:31 flat. Excellent time from the Colombian, but then Andrew Haythorne and Logan Edwards have also unseated them, so it's been a competitive session. Andre Castro currently relegated to P4 as that lap did not stand.
Yeah, they'll move Logan Edwards to the top of the pylon. We've got somebody asking, why is the halo see-through? And by and large, I've mostly stuck to leaving it see-through, as that tends to be what most of the drivers are actually using. I know it's not the most realistic thing in the world. It's a bit immersion breaking to some extent when we hop on board with these drivers, but it is ultimately what a lot of people are actually seeing through the cockpit. We don't have the luxury, or at least a good number of us don't, of having virtual reality equipment allowing us to kind of block out that bar as we see Castro go for a spin on his lap here. But certainly one of those things that is divisive in its own right.
Exactly, Jacob. I actually find it funny. People are surprised to find out I don't race with that see-through, despite the fact that I'm not running in VR. I purely like it as an old autocross trick of you need to look ahead. And having that big bar in the middle with the aero screen on the IR-18 is a great way of forcing your eyes to be looking towards the apex, looking towards your track out, not necessarily looking straight over the nose cone.
Yeah, it's kind of a darned if you do, darned if you don't for a number of drivers. A lot of people swear by it as being able to kind of position their car relative to other track elements. They kind of use it like a bit of a crosshair, if you will. Other drivers can't really see around it in a way that they feel comfortable with. So it's one of those things that everybody's got their own devices towards it. We're still working our way through qualifying here. Couple cars still left to take time, amongst them Rogue Racing's Ty Keela, the likes of David Schmid, Kai Reed. Not yet taking time just yet. Doesn't look like they will at the moment either. They have not yet taken to the course. So we'll see. We'll ride outboard with Edson Toulis. He's still circulating the course. See if we can find him. There's Edson. He's working his way down the front straightaway, I believe, for one of multiple cooldown laps, as Obuslack will move to the 5th spot on the board. Good to see everybody tuning in tonight.
Looks...
Go ahead, Sophie.
I was going to say, it looks like Ty Keela is not taking time. Neither is Kai Reed or David Schmid. So those three will start towards the back of the pack.
Yeah, I imagine it won't be too impossible to pass other cars, although those passing opportunities are going to come on those very lengthy straightaways, particularly the one down from turn 15 all the way to down what they're numbering as turns 2 or 3, I believe, with that first chicane on the front straightaway here at Imola. It's going to be very much a push-to-pass game for sure as we see qualifying come to a close here, and that'll be a big factor is who can kind of manage that push-to-pass number over the course of the running here tonight. We're going to get ourselves to the starting grid here shortly for 14 laps of a 3-mile track here in Italy. And it will be Logan Edwards. Oh, Sophie?
Go ahead, Jacob.
We got Logan Edwards on the pole here tonight, taking over for his Luke Mansky Racing Esports teammate at the front of the field here tonight. We'll see if he can hold on and keep the Luke Mansky dominance going here in Indy NXT Road Series competition. Andrew Taphorn will line alongside him. in the number 5, right ahead of Hamilton Pereira Ruiz and Andre Castro in the second row. Jacob Obuslak will line up 5th alongside Zachary Allen in the 6th spot. Edson Toole will line up 7th alongside Isabel Matthews. Indy Kirchenbauer, the prodigy, the current reigning Indy NXT Oval Series champion, will line up 9th alongside Frisky Frankie in the 10th spot. Ellis Spice will line up 11th in the 11. Eduardo Galbinski is back once more. He'll line up 12th in the number 12. Brian Yee will line up 13th in the 15. David Schmid will line up 14th in the number 9. Rogue Racing's Ty Keelis starting 15th from the back row of the grid. And Kai Reed will round out our 16-car field here tonight. Sophie, what do you got for us?
I was going to say, Jacob, a thing to note here, as you can see with them lining up through Aqua Minerale, they have a shorter pace lap, and that's going to make it harder to get any kind of heat in these tires, so it should be interesting to see how these cars handle Tamburello on cold tires.
Yeah, and it's certainly something that's impacted these cars very, very heavily over the course of time. You know, we talked about it a good bit on the ovals in particular. The likes of Iowa caught out a number of drivers earlier on this season, but the road courses are just as tricky on the cold tires, kind of the understeery nature, but the kind of the snap you get once those tires really come to grip up kind of in an instant, if you will, and that can catch a lot of these drivers out early on in the going. We'll see as they navigate towards that final chicane here, who's able to get just enough heat in those tires to have a quality start here to get the race going here.
For sure, Jacob, and as you've seen here, there's a lot of tight corners here as they come through the Variante de Alta. That's a very tight chicane. You're going to be relying on having a bunch of traction, and if you're not able to get that traction, that can lead to a mistake and lead to losing momentum as you head down into the first Ravazza. So this is definitely, there's 2 passing opportunities after Aqua Minerale. You can pass into the Variante de Alta if you get a good run on Aqua Minerale, or you can pass here into the Ravazza if the car in front gets a poor run.
Yeah, these final couple of corners definitely felt like a very strong passing opportunity. Down the hill, you can get very, very late on the brakes, kind of use the momentum of the car, or the hill rather, to slow you down just that little bit. But we're rounding the final corner. We're about to unleash 16 IL-15s onto Imola. Start-finish line's a bit further down here, and they're going to get underway.
They're going to get underway. Logan
green flag, green flag.
Big gap ahead of Andrew Taphorn to head down into Tamburello.
Castro's going to slot into third, still 2x2 behind the first 4 or so cars. It's going to be Jacob Obuslak getting the advantage on the rest of the field. We'll see as they kind of funnel out, single file back further in the field, how that opts to shake out here.
Yeah, it definitely looks like Indy Kirchenbauer looking to make a move through Tosa on the outside. Manages to get it done. One, Andy Kirchenbauer goes around the outside,
They'll work their way down the hill towards Aqua Minerale. Now they're going to round turn 9, head to Aqua Minerale, back up the hill here. Seeing a bit of jockeying maybe back further in the field here, but the field by and large has started to string back out single file as Kirchenbauer has made his way.
Big trouble in the Variante de Alta. Looks like it was Andre Castro? And there's more trouble for Taikila.
Yeah, we just caught Castro.
Yes, it was Andre Castro.
Yeah, Castro's in the pit lane now. We'll try to catch the replay on that. See what happened to Andre here. We'll catch the replay up to it. So he comes around, but we're going to head up the hill here. Work our way towards that final chicane.
Locks the rears into the chicane and just immediately into the tire wall, Jacob.
Yeah, we're going to...
So easy to do on cold tires.
Yeah, we see him get sideways kind of over the first set of curbs here and backs it rear into the wall, and that's likely going to be night done for Andre Castro. Driver we thought might have a good result here tonight, starting near the front of the field. Unfortunately, day done on the opening lap. And then Ty Keela is going to come in.
And there's even more trouble.
Missed the chicane. What do we got, Sophie?
Jacob, I want you to focus on Jakub Obuslak in the number 8 car. Coming to Tamburello the next lap. does the same thing Andre Castro does. Actually, no, sorry. He rounds the sausage curb and goes off, finds themselves in the gravel, was running fourth, benefiting from that mistake by Castro, and then gives it all away.
Yeah, we've caught Obuslack now multiple seconds off the field here, but definitely seems like the drivers that have... Oh, we've got maybe another car falling down the order. Is that going to be Indy Kirchenbauer? He's around off of Aqua Minerale. And we've got more cars around. Frank Wynn.
Yes, it looks like Kirchenbauer also just pounded a sausage curb. And a lot of people not happy right now over VC.
Yeah, Wynn's falling down the order. Logan Edwards still remains at the front.
There was a big accident. Yeah, there was a big accident, Jacob. If you focus on Frisky Frankie, as they go into Variante de Alta after Kirchenbauer's moment, there's just a big accident behind him. And fortunately, Frisky gets nailed from behind by those two cars. And tumbles down the order. And those two cars look to big. Eduardo Lebezinski and Edison Toole. Yeah, action-packed first couple of laps, Jacob.
Yeah, we saw a number of cars kind of tumble down the order there as Logan Edwards continues to lead here. We'll hop back to the front of the field with him, get the gaps up on the screen, try to see where battles are potentially brewing throughout the middle portion of this field as these front three cars between Edwards, Taphorn, and Ruiz have properly broken away from the rest of the field, no in due part due to some of the early attrition we've seen through particularly these chicanes. We saw...
Logan Edwards almost spins! Oh, sorry, Jacob. Sorry to interrupt. He almost spun out of the chicane, took too much of the curb, and I think he's feeling pressure because Andrew Taphorn had gone purple the lap before. Sorry to interrupt.
No, certainly not. We're seeing drivers struggle getting the car unsettled on those curbs, and that seems to kind of have been the biggest factor in this track, in this race so far, is being able to manage the car getting kind of upset in spots where you may not be able to anticipate just how squirrely it's going to be when it gets back to the ground or up in the air, as we see Taphorn and Ruiz side by side headed into the chicane.
Yeah, it looks like Hamilton was just kind of let go by Taphorn, purely because the draft on that front straightaway, you're going to have a massive run. There's very little point if you're Andrew Taphorn or Hamilton Ruiz to fight that, because ultimately that costs you more time, and it means Logan Edwards gets to drive away. So some smart racecraft from both the Colombian and the Canadian.
Yeah, Ruiz was faster than Edwards by about half a second that last time by, so he's clearly found something in the opening stages here to maybe mount a charge here early. We'll see if he's able to close this gap up even further over the course of this lap here as we get closer and closer to the halfway mark here from Imola.
Yeah, for sure, Jacob. And here at this historic circuit, at this difficult technical track, ultimately we're going to have a new winner this season. Andre Castro is out. Jarrett Corey is a no-show. It's down to someone new. It's down to a Logan Edwards, a Hamilton Barrera Ruiz, or an Andrew Taphorn to ultimately be the next new winner this season.
Well, we had a couple of questions come in from chat from Dom here, and he said he just recently got a G29 and he's still learning, and it's an entirely new game compared to controller use. Certainly is, and if you're looking for a decent place to start, I will recommend, admittedly, my own work with the Indy NXT Road Series track guides. We cover this car alongside with the FIA F4 and the Formula Ford 1600 as Ruiz is going to get all over the back of Edwards here.
For sure, and it looks like he's right on that gearbox as they head through the Villeneuve chicane. And Logan runs wide, Barrera Ruiz has a run on the outside as they head into Tosa, and Barrera Ruiz takes the lead.
And we'll throw three cars under a blanket.
Bobble by, yeah, I was going to say a bobble by Edwards, and that ultimately lets the Colombian through.
How many of these drivers are human was the other? All of them, as much as we like to allude to that many of them are goats. They are not all goats. They're all humans. All 16 of them taking part tonight, despite Castro coming out early with that rear end collision with the wall we just passed. as Ruiz now leads over Edwards, just 2/10 separating them. But Andrew Taphorn's kind of in the catbird seat here. He's maybe going to let these guys ahead of him play against each other and work his way to the front here before too long.
For sure, Jacob. Just settle down. Keep your tires under them. If Logan Edwards is able to keep pace with Hamilton, but Ruiz, then why would you fight it? But ultimately, if it does seem like the Luke Mason car starts to fade from the gearbox of that Texaco Haviland machine, then yeah, you might want to pull a move. But it looks like Logan has found some pace and has started to pull out a gap against the Canadian behind him in third place.
And some of that, too, might just be down to the proximity that Edwards has to Ruiz ahead, right? You see it on a number of occasions. We saw it in good effect from the likes of Mid-Ohio earlier tonight. Kind of the closer you can get in proximity to those cars ahead of you as you get onto these large straightaways, it makes it that much easier to kind of hold steady with them as the gaps have started to expand between these cars, about a half second apiece between each one of them.
Yeah, for sure, Jacob. I just want to highlight a couple of big movers here. We have Brian Yee went from 13th to 6th. They're up 7 positions from where they started. Then you also have Kai Reed up from being 16th on the grid, currently sitting in 9th. That's also up 7 spots. Definitely some big movers taking advantage of the attrition around them.
Yeah, we saw a number of drivers that started maybe further up the field encounter trouble early. I'm seeing a missing front wing.
Oh, big trouble.
Edson Toole.
Yes, Edson Toole. Yeah, very angry on the radio. Heated driver during the race. Brian Yee gets loose, and then Edson Toole not happy, claiming that they're blocking, but looks more just like Brian Yee was trying to just not lose the car.
Yeah,
unfortunately, Edison Toole is going to fall down the order without that front wing.
He's still fighting tooth and nail. He's all over the back of Kai Reed here for the 7th spot. We'll see if he's somehow able to make this car negotiable without that front wing. Oh,
you
car
see him
around.
falling back to the corners as there's no one over the background. That is Brian Yee. Oh, poor guy. As commentators curse, Jacob. I should just not shout people out during the broadcast.
It's unfortunately seemingly how it works in the business, but Eduardo Galbinski is now going to be under fire from David Schmidt after all of this. Sammy, my girlfriend, chiming in that Italy is too spicy. It may be. We're getting to the halfway mark here. We've seen about an entire race worth of incidents already here tonight. A lot of drivers not too particularly happy with the running here at Imola, but we got ourselves a spicy meatball.
For sure, a very spicy meatball, as both Eduardo Galbinski and Eduardo Galbinski has a damaged front wing end plane, so they're definitely struggling. But they're certainly in a better position than Edson Toole, who just has no front wing whatsoever.
Yeah, we're going to see how that impacts Toole as they head off towards that first chicane here. Galbinski in the tow going to look to the outside here. Toole's going to try as mightily as he dare to fend this off, but going to let Galbinski on through here.
For sure, and it looks like immediately Galbinski's all over the back. He's trying down the inside of the field and bangs wheels! Bangs wheels and somehow keeps it on the track without a front wing. Definitely going defensive all over the place. Ooh, banging wheels, 3 wide.
We're going to see the 8 of Jacob Oboslak go off. Puts Ty Keeler to the front of this group now. Chasing down Galbinski.
For sure, and just all-out chaos there. Opens up that whole move by Edson Toole to try and repass, despite missing a front wing. Kind of opened up Pandora's box and just made that a whole chaotic hornet's nest there. And the big winner out of that is Ty Keeler.
Yeah, Ty started on the back row of this grid, I believe in 15th. We'll have it up on the screen now. Yeah, 15th here tonight. He's up 6 spots up to 9th. I think we got to wait till the conclusion of this lap for the scoring or the on-screen graphic to reflect where he is, but he's certainly worked his way through this early attrition as we get just past the halfway mark now, and we'll see if he's able to work his way even further forward as he'll be chasing down Eduardo Galbinski for 8th.
Right, and once again, back up at the front, Logan Edwards is still staying tight on Hamilton Barrera Ruiz. Just only 3/10 separating the first two, but then Andrew Taphorn has kind of fallen back. Only 1.3 seconds behind, still in draft range, but not quite staying at the same level of distance as Logan Edwards, aka Narc Brain, has on the back of Ruiz. And then Isabella Matthews, quietly in 4th place, just minding their own business. The gif of Luigi at Mario Party, very much for her. Not doing anything wrong, not doing anything flashy, and finding herself in a solid top 5 position, Jacob.
Yeah, I believe that one is bumper balls from Mario Party 1, and the Luigi just sits there and does nothing, and everybody falls off the map. So Luigi wins by doing nothing is that one's synopsis title. But Isabel's up a couple spots. We'll get her up on the screen here, show where she's came from. She started 8th, up 4 spots. That's seemingly the bulk of the cars that would have started ahead that faced early issues, the likes of Andre Castro, Oba Slack, amongst others. And she's going to have herself a solid day if she can hold on to this for another 5 or 6 laps here.
For sure, Jacob. And it looks like Frisky Frankie is starting to recover after their early troubles. They find themselves back into the top 10. Currently working on Taikila, and then they have Eduardo Gabinski just up ahead. Gabinski again nursing that damaged front wing quite well, but they are coming under pressure from Taikila and Frankie Nguyen.
Yeah, Galbinski leads this train. You can see Kai Reed just off the front of this. We'll get to his car here now in the 16. He's going to be kind of leading 7th on back here as Ellis Spice is out in another kind of no man's land area, about 3.5 seconds off of Zachary Allen, who runs in 5th. We'll see if that continues to have any sort of inroads for him, as Allen sits about a second back of Matthews in the 4th spot. But things have stayed relatively calm past the opening couple of laps here as drivers have started to settle in, have the cars a bit further under grip here, tackling the 3-mile track here in Imola.
Yeah, yes, and I want to take our attention back up towards the front of the pack. Once again, Logan Edwards in that Luke Bansky esports machine right on the back of that black number 3 of Hamilton and Barrera Ruiz. Been that way for several laps. This looks to be the fight to the end, Jacob. If you're enjoying fights like this, if you're enjoying American Open Wheel Racing, you should click that subscribe button, click like, ring that bell for P1 Broadcasting to get updated on all goings on this channel. See all the IR18 and IL-15 action.
Well, we've got IL-15s, we've got IR-18s, we've got Dallara SF-23s coming up later this week, as we've got all sorts of open wheel action on the channel this week. Tomorrow night will be the night of oval racing here on P1, the premier broadcast. The IndyCar Oval Series Top Split will be live from Auto Club at 7:15 p.m.
Ruiz makes a mistake in the Variante de Alta.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, Jacob, to interrupt. Ruiz nearly gave the lead away. Sorry.
It runs wide off the exit of that chicane. Logan Edwards is there to pounce, but not quite close enough. We'll see if there's a run down towards that first chicane here. I don't think we got time to quite announce that just yet.
No, but again, yeah, just yet, because again, that Luke Bansky machine is closing alongside on the outside as they enter into the chicane. Ruiz gives space. Logan backs out. Gonna have to reset and try again. And gives us time. and kind of gives us time maybe to talk about all the racing coming up on P1 Broadcasting.
Yeah, maybe for a moment. So tomorrow night we'll have IndyCar Oval Fix. Gary Godso on the call for that from Auto Club Speedway. That'll be 7:15 p.m. Eastern Time. Then that'll be followed up by our coverage of Indy NXT Oval Series. We'll be from New Hampshire tomorrow night, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time. And then Mark Murphy and Andrew Wood, I believe, are on the call for the Area 51 League from Michigan. That'll be 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Followed up Wednesday night by the Horizon IndyCar Series from Portland. Mark Murphy on the call for that at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. And then myself and Sophie Connell will be back Wednesday night for the first round of the Formula Super Series from the Miami International Autodrome at 8:20 p.m. Eastern Time in the Dallara SF23s, both of the Honda and Toyota varieties. That'll be an interesting event to see. It'll be the first race I think I've commentated aside from my guest appearance in Formula Indy Series last season where we'll be having standing starts.
Yes, and those super formulas are very tricky on those standing starts, Jacob. As we see Logan Edwards once again closing. That teal and purple Luke Mansky machine not quite able to get there, but he is hounding the back of Hamilton Barrera Ruiz, trying to force a mistake as they head up through the Variante de Villeneuve.
Yeah, Dom asking if all these drivers are humans. Yes, they are. That's why. Ooh, Ruiz disappears for a moment there.
Oh, mistake! He made a mistake. He ran wide right as he got those network issues, and Logan Edwards is by through Tosa.
Yes.
Move that Luke Mansky Esports machine up into first place.
Yes, none of the errors you see on screen are AI driven. They are all real people doing real people things, like missing braking markers or running too wide off the course.
Yeah, I don't need an AI to make mistakes in Mid-Ohio, Jacob. I do that all on my own.
I don't need the AI to crash the race car. I'll do it myself.
Yeah, we see Hamilton Barrera Ruiz looking to make up for that mistake, makes a little bit of a lockup through the chicane, and just starts losing ground. As we see some action in the back of the pack here, Frank DeWin is now up to 7th place, David Schmidt up to 8th. What happened back there that moved Kyrie back to back to 9th? Oh, it looks like some contact between Ty Keela and Edson Toole, and they have an incident together into the Variante Alta. Sorry, some interesting voice chat as Ty admits a mea culpa. Yeah. And unfortunately, that gives Edison Toole a black flag. He's going to have to drive through the pits.
Yeah, Ty Keela as well. Black flag for him, but we're on the final lap here. Logan Edwards has gotten by, seemingly at the right place at the right time, has gapped out now over a second over Hamilton Ruiz. Andrew Taphorn's currently rounding out the podium. We'll see if that remains the case here as they work towards that final chicane. This has been the trickiest corner on the track seemingly all night. Clean for Edwards.
Clean for Ruiz. And it's a good gap between Taphorn and Isabella Matthews in P4. So, barring a catastrophic mistake from the Canadian, it looks like he will also be rounding out our podium as Logan Edwards rounds the final Ravazza and will streak across the line. That Luke Mansky Esports machine, he will be our 3rd different winner of the season and the 2nd different Luke Mansky Esports machine to claim victory in the Indy NXT Road Series, Jacob.
And for good measure, he sets the fastest lap of the race coming to the line. So he clearly figured it out at the right place at the right time. And he'll win, taking over for his dominant teammate here in Indy NXT.
Yeah, Isabella Matthews comes home 4th. Zachary Allen comes home in P5 in that Leighton House machine. Ellis Spice, followed by Frank DeWin and David Schmidt. Eduardo Gabinski holds on to finish 10th, and that will be your top 10, Jacob.
Yeah, we're watching Logan do something I don't think the AI would want to do in trying to lap the track in reverse. So we'll let him have his fun on the screen for us here as he navigates
Yeah,
his IL-15 around the course.
I've heard of the. I was gonna say I've heard of the Polish victory lap, but this is a little different than that. I guess we'll call this the Texan victory lap.
Maybe this is how they do it in Italy, and he's just trying to show us local culture he's learned.
I'm glad he's having a good time. What's life without a little bit of fun?
Exactly that, and we're going to get to finishing results here from Imola. Logan Edwards for Luke Mansky Racing Esports will win here as the number 2 machine. Hamilton Pereira-Ruiz, late mistake for him, will ultimately cost him the victory. He'll finish second. Andrew Taphorn will round out our podium here tonight with Isabel Matthews in 4th. Zachary Allen will round out the top 5. Ellis Spice, Frank Wynn with another charge back through the field, much like we saw at Watkins Glen just a couple weeks ago. He'll finish 7th. David Schmid will finish 8th. Kai Reed in 9th. Eduardo Galbinski will hold on to the bottom portion of the top 10. Jacob Obuslak, following early issues, will finish 11th. Edson Toole with a missing front wing will be 12th. Ty Keela 13th, Brian Gee 14th. Indy Kirchenbauer, following an early mistake in Aqua Minerale, will finish 15th. And Andre Castro, who we saw collide with the wall that Logan Edwards is now doing donuts in front of, will finish 16th and last on the evening here from Imola. And I'm sure we've got some happy drivers, happy driver at the very least, because he seems to be having a good bit of fun out here celebrating.
For sure, I cannot imagine how happy Logan Edwards was. Obviously, Logan, not a stranger to these cars, had some disappointment at Miami where he made a mistake in that Marina Loop section. But again, what an amazing race we just witnessed. Again, that last couple of laps, Hamilton Pereira-Ruiz made a couple of mistakes, ultimately allowed Logan Edwards through, and once again, it's a Luke Mansky Esports machine in victory lane.
And we'll get his car back up on the screen here. So I believe he may be the only one we get for a post-race interview here tonight. We can find... We'll actually get his car going backwards for him. So that seems to be something he's pretty proud of. So we'll get him on up here. Logan Edwards, Jacob Collins, Sophie Connell, P1 Broadcasting. You got us?
Gotcha.
Well, it looks like you were having quite a bit of fun celebrating the win here, but it took a good bit of effort to get there, capitalizing on mistakes from other drivers, maybe reducing your own at the same time. Walk us through this race here from Imola tonight.
I knew it'd be down to push to pass, really. I recently got an overlay which shows push to pass in the Indy car, but it doesn't work in this car. So I kind of was going back to like a couple weeks ago being like not in the know. But I did have Jarrett watching the broadcast in my ear to tell me when Hamilton was on it and when he wasn't, which was good. I knew that I'd get past sooner or later because I'm using up so much more of my resources trying to stay at the front. I didn't expect Hamilton to be the one who mounted the charge because I know Andrew was right up my tail. But yeah, Hamilton got past me, and I really knew that whenever I got it aligned on the front stretch, I figured this out once. I would just end up even and then losing out in turn 1. So I knew that I had to force him into a mistake. And I managed to do so and got the win.
Yeah, we certainly figured it would be a push-to-pass situation all the way through this race. Ultimately seemed to be kind of who had it at the right place at the right time, forced the other into a mistake in those heavy braking zones through the opening couple, or well, through pretty much every actual corner on this track, given a number of them are chicanes. And if they aren't chicanes, they're hairpins or very tricky uphill or downhill corners. Kind of walk us through what it was like having to manage the race on the whole here. We saw you have a similar kind of mistake early on in the going at seemingly the same spot as Hamilton late in the going. Just kind of get your head straightened back down and working your way forward back towards the top step here.
I knew I had time. I knew it was a long race. This is a track where I know rhythm can make or break you, especially with the setup, which I wouldn't say took curbs as well as it could have, which definitely added a little bit of fear. Which, I mean, I think that if this car could go over curbs effortlessly, this would have been a completely different feeling race. Especially since Andre Castro got taken out so early. I knew that I came in thinking he would be the one that I'd have to battle for the win. Thankfully, a little less pressure than that, but still. Also, I am definitely not leaving this race at safety rating. I'll just say that.
Yeah, it looked like both you and Hamilton were using all of the track and then some. Can you walk us through what it was like trying to wrangle this car? It looked like everyone was struggling, particularly in the early part of the race, but also later on with traction as Hamilton locked up behind you going into the Variante de Alta, the lap you passed him. So is it just the track is very difficult with this car, or is it just you found that the Firestones weren't able to hold on towards the end of the race?
This track the wind is kind of not helpful at all anywhere. Like it's just kind of like what I think 11 mile per hour side force everywhere you go, which isn't great. And the car itself really burns up the rears, but at the same time, it's easy to lose the fronts if you're not careful. I was managing my ARBs a lot. Like I managed the roll bars in a 25-minute race more in this car more than I do like a full-length IndyCar race like I just got out of earlier. It's just that precarious trying to keep the tires under control.
Well, you found a way to make it work, even in spite of necessarily needing to make maybe more adjustments than you're used to. But taking over for your Luke Mansky Esports Racing teammate, Jarrett Corey, who's in the chat, letting us know the dominance continues without him. You know the drill. Friends, family, sponsors, anybody you want to shout out, Logan, floor is yours.
Shout out to Luke Mansky Racing Esports, Lilac City IT, iPredictor, and iCoaching.co. Shout out to Jarrett and Caleb and for hanging out in the Discord call, and shout out to JT for joining us in the open broadcasts. He's been putting on a real show up there. That's all.
Well, thank you for joining us here once again, Logan Edwards. We'll hope to catch you either tomorrow night at New Hampshire or next week, as I believe we take on Road Atlanta with a chance of rain. May or may not be in the cards for you, but we hope to keep catching you out here on P1 one way or another.
Oh, you'll see me for sure.
All right, and that'll do it for Logan Edwards. We'll get a little bit of screen time for the rest of our podium finishers, assuming we can find them. Have to track down their machines here shortly. But Sophie, nonetheless, a very, very interesting race. We saw a lot of drivers struggle, maybe drivers we weren't expecting to necessarily struggle, as we saw Andre Castro have a bit of a tumultuous time early on in the going. He ended up out before the first lap even concluded. Kind of closing thoughts from you here tonight.
I mean, what an action-packed race we just witnessed, Jacob. An amazing battle between Logan Edwards and Hamilton Ruiz. What an amazing race throughout the pack. We had people coming and going. Also, unfortunately, some attrition, like with Andre Castro, like with Andy Kirchenbauer. But ultimately, what a barn burner a race this was, Jacob.
Yeah, and it just goes to show just how difficult it is to navigate a track like this with as much horsepower and speed as these drivers are carrying, as we'll get Hamilton's car up on the screen to give him a bit of screen time here. But it's one of those situations where I think the horsepower, as advantageous and cool as it is that we have all that power in this relatively compact package, it's also very, very difficult to put down and keep on the ground, especially as you bounce it up and over and around these curbs, especially as you're navigating the elevation through that middle section of the track. You know, we saw it catch out the likes of Andy Kirchenbauer. He went around at Aqua Minerale going back up the hill. We saw, Castro around at one of the chicanes. We saw a number of cars making contact in and around those chicanes and having difficulties just getting the cars slowed down. So it was certainly a battle and a testament to the ultimate driver skills. We'll get Andre Taphorn up here. We had multiple alcohol cars out there, seemingly. We had the Guinness machine and the Labatt machine here from Tap Horn. So hopefully people can enjoy an alcoholic beverage. Obviously, Italy a bit more known for wine as far as I'm aware, but people go and have themselves a good time after a quality race here from Imola. We'll be back next week for the Indy NXT Road Series from Road Atlanta. As mentioned earlier, there will be a chance of rain there, so that'll be another challenge for these drivers to have to tackle in these already very difficult IL-15s on top of the very tricky track in Road Atlanta. I want to thank everybody for tuning in to the broadcast wherever you are in the world, and we want to thank those that make it really all possible here, all the fun things we do, and that's the military, the firefighters, first responders, the EMTs that load you up in the ambulance, and the nurse that unloads you when you get to where you need to go. We want to thank them very, very much for allowing us to do all the fun things that we do, like bring you Indy NXT coverage here on P1 Broadcasting. Have a good night, everybody. We will catch you next time.